Hey, hi, good morning. So we're going to look at 0-4 equation solving review today, which is a very important lesson because we do a lot with equation solving later in the year. So it's important that you are okay with it while it's, starting off. Okay, so a little bit of vocab first. Equations. Equations obviously different from an expression. An equation must have an equal sign. Must have an equal sign. And equations can be made up of all sorts of things. They can have numbers, operations, all sorts of things. Parentheses. The important thing is that it has to have an equal sign. If it doesn't have an equal sign, then it's not an equation, it's an expression. All right, up next, a solution. A solution is a value that when plugged in for the variable, it makes the equation true. And this is something we're going to look at when we get to example 3. So you'll hear me ask a lot. I'll probably ask this about 18,000 times this school year. But I'm going to ask you often what the main goal of equation solving is. And I even asked my kids in algebra this. The main goal of equation solving, and this is buzzword, is to isolate the variable. The main goal is to, and here we go, keywords, isolate the variable. And keeping in mind that variable, when I say variable, that just means that that letter, x, y, whatever that variable is. And how do we do that? Well, you isolate the variable by using inverse operations. Inverse operations. Another word for inverse, you could be also thinking of opposite operations. So when I talk inverse operations, the inverse of addition, it's a terrible addition sign. The inverse of addition is subtraction. The inverse of multiplication is division. Those opposite operations are their inverse operations. So looking at this first example, the variable is not by itself. We can see that on the left side of our equal sign, we can see that we have a 12 preventing the variable from being by itself. 12 and that x are being multiplied together, so the inverse or the opposite of multiplication is division. So to get my answer here, I'm going to divide both sides by 12. 12 into 108. It can't be 10 because 10 times 12 is 20, so it's got to be 9. Yeah. So x is equal to 9. It's important when you're doing this that you're showing me that little bit of work and that you're writing your answer as, variable equals. Example 2. So we've got y plus 1/2 is equal to 3/4. The 1/2 is preventing the y from being by itself. The 1/2 is being added to the y, so the opposite or the inverse operation is addition, or of addition is subtraction. So now here you might have to remember some notes from 0-1 about adding and subtracting fractions. In order to do that, I need to make common denominators first. So that turns into 3/4 minus 2/4. So y is equal to 1/4. And again, I did subtraction because that's the opposite of addition. Example 3. So this is similar to one of the homework problems I asked you to do. Which equation has a solution of 7? So some of these equations have a couple steps involved that we haven't actually went over yet. But if each has a solution of 7, that means that they're saying x is equal to 7. So going back to that definition, a solution is a value that when plugged in for the variable makes the equation true. So if I plug in 7 for x, it should give me a true statement and the one that it's a solution for. So let's try this. And I do want you to show work like this on your homework. So 3 inverse x would be 7 equals 36. I'm going to go through and I'm just going to plug each one of these in. 2, 7, 3 equals 19. 4 times 7 plus 2 equals 30. And again, all I'm doing is going through and filling in a 7 everywhere I see an x, just like we did in that previous lesson on evaluating algebraic expressions. So for choice A, 3 times 7 is 21 equals 36. That's not true. 2 times 7 is 14 minus 3. 14 minus 3 is 11, so that's not true. 4 times 7 is 28, plus 2 is equal to 30. Ooh, this one is actually true. So we're thinking this is going to be our answer. But we always want to check all of our choices just to make sure that we didn't make a simple mistake somewhere. 6 times 7 is 42, minus 6 is definitely not 24. 42 minus 6 would be 40 minus 4, which would be 36. And 36 is not equal to 24. Make sure you show work. All right, go ahead and give that homework for 0-4 a try and submit that when you're done.